Hey everyone, so a few weeks ago my Mac Mini 2011 died. Moment of silence for this Mac Mini. So after this happened, I decided to finally do something I've been wanting to do for a while. Look, I'm a huge Mac OS user, and I have been for the past 10 years. I love the operating system, but let's face it, Apple makes some of the weakest computers in terms of GPU horsepower. And that's fine, Apple computers aren't made for gaming. They do other great things. So before my computer broke down, I had already began researching parts for a gaming computer, and I had settled on an i5 or possibly an i7. But then I began researching the Ryzen processors that had recently been released, and I was just amazed at their prices, and I began doing my calculations and adding up the total for a budget, and I loved what I was seeing. The blueprint. So what do I mean by that? Well, I picked a budget Ryzen build that someone else had already built, and I found Johnny, in which he built a 450 Ryzen build. And basically what I did was upgrade a few parts and alter that blueprint to build my own system. While doing this, I got a little bit carried away, but even then, I ended up not spending nearly as much as I thought. The total price of the system came out to be roughly $743.51. However, the system is not complete. It's missing a modern GPU. Now, why didn't I purchase one? Well, AMD is preparing to release Vega, and I decided to wait to see the performance and price of that new GPU. If the price is too high, then I will consider getting the sold out RX 580. I want to try and stick to AMD to save money where I can. If I can get the RX 80, my system will be well under $1,000 and it will fall in the mid to high end as a well-balanced gaming system. I want the ability to stream and record all gameplay without affecting gaming performance. So what are the specs of the system? Well, I decided to go with the Ryzen 5 1600, which is a 6-core processor with 12 threads, clocked in at 3.2 GHz, and with a precision boost of 3.6 GHz. However, what makes these processors special is that they're all unlocked. I ended up doing a lot of research on overclocking, and after a few hours, I felt comfortable enough to attempt it. So I managed to get my processor overclocked to 3.8 GHz, stable, with 0 crashes. And that is why I decided to build this computer, to have the ability to change whatever I want whenever I want. For the motherboard, I decided to go with the Prime B350 Plus because it had 4 slots of RAM for expansion, and it was also priced fairly good. Definitely a solid motherboard, nothing too special. For the RAM, I went with a single ballistic 8GB DDR3 running at 2400 MHz. I will be upgrading to 16 gigs in the near future, but for now, I think that 8 gigs of RAM are going to be more than enough for just gaming. For the SSD, I went with the NVMe SSD, which are incredibly fast. I went with 256 gigs to have the operating system and various files and possibly even 1 or 2 games in there that I really need to run incredibly smooth. For mass storage, I opted for the Seagate 2TB Barracuda hard drive, nothing too special. For the case, I looked at several. I was originally gonna buy just any case to save me the most money I could, but I opted for some style, and I increased my budget to include the case that looked great and has some awesome features. Overall, I'm incredibly happy with the Corsair 400C mid-tower. It looks beastly, and it's definitely understated. For the video card, I went with the NVIDIA GTX 560 Ti. Now, why did I go for this card? Well, it's actually a very simple reason. I already had this video card. So it's basically a placeholder for my next video card. And right now, it's currently between the RX 580 and the new Vega GPU, again, depending on how much it will cost. Hopefully, the Vega GPU will not cost over $500. Now, why did I build this computer? Well, I'm a PC gamer, and I have been for quite some time. And I also love Apple computers, but gaming and Apple don't quite mix. Look, my dream computer has always been a dual computer setup, where I can swap at a push of a button. A fully customizable PC purely for gaming, and a mid to high-end Mac for everything else, so I could get my hands on that glorious Final Cut Pro 10. So for a full review of this new Ryzen build, codenamed Sentinel, please stay tuned. Again, I built the system purely for gaming and as an enthusiast project. I've already ordered a similar spec Mac Mini to replace the old one. Despite being old, the Mac Mini can still do all the editing tasks that I need. I will be upgrading the Mac Mini to another Mac later this year, but I'm still unsure of which Mac to get. And the 2011 Mac Mini, the new one I've ordered, will be donated to my parents because they sort of need a newer computer because their aging iMac is struggling to keep up. And for them, the Mac Mini 2011 will be more than enough horsepower for them. Now for the performance review, I will make one the moment I purchase a new GPU because the GTX 560 Ti is a bit older and won't necessarily show what this computer is actually capable of accomplishing. But if you really want to see what this CPU is really capable of doing, here's a sneak peek of the Geekbench numbers to illustrate how powerful the CPU is. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys are interested in any of the parts for this build, check the links down below so you can build one exactly like mine, or at the very least, get a blueprint for your own build. Also, be sure and smash that like button if you're part of the PC Master Race. I have officially joined the PC Master Race. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.